Welcome to another episode of HDFC. And today we will be doing our second to last Champions League and chat. So the quarterfinals or the semifinals
Yeah.
just ended, and PSG and Inter are through to the final, and we will be talking a little bit about that. Today you have me, Thomas, as your host, and Paxton is your co-host today.
What's up?
First time being the co-host.
Co-host.
We don't know where Trey is, honestly. We have no idea.
Probably off watching some Madrid highlights.
Probably gaming.
Basking in 2015 glory.
All right. So let's just jump right into this. What did you think about the PSG versus Arsenal games?
Man, those were good games. I'll be completely honest. First game, Dembele gets that early goal. They shut them out away, which is amazing. That's exactly what you want to do. First game, especially if you're away.
Yeah.
Just secure that goal and then go home. Take it to your stadium. And second leg, they just clobbered them again.
Yeah.
That's really all I have to say.
I feel like Arsenal's weakness in attack really showed through.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that game, you could really tell that they were lacking. Because they had at least 3 or 4, almost open goals and easy shots, and they just blasted them over or hit the post. Genuinely, PSG's second best defender was the goalpost.
Yeah, that's real.
And
that's real.
Arsenal's best defense was the goalpost. I feel like both teams, their finishing could have been a lot better, and had they just been 1% better, I feel like the scoreline would have been a lot different. I feel like Arsenal definitely did not bring their A game.
They didn't.
Because I've seen them play much better than that. They show up. I think they were a little nervous, and they let PSG get the first little bit of momentum. And for the first 30 minutes of the first leg, Arsenal just stood no chance. And
they didn't.
Arsenal was trying harder not to concede rather than to attack.
Right.
And PSG was the opposite, because they didn't need to. They were pressing high up. They were winning the ball. And honestly, I feel like Arsenal got pretty lucky, but I feel like as far as finishing overall goes, PSG got pretty lucky that Arsenal were selling.
Yeah, Arsenal, I wouldn't say Arsenal wasn't playing that. It just looked like they weren't there. Like they were out of it or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, their attack, it's never been great, I'll say that. But I've seen them play way better in their attack in different Premier League games and Champions League games. And that game was not one of those games. It was dodgy, and it was not good.
Yeah, I feel like they came out sleepwalking, you know. So it was definitely an interesting game, but I feel like Donnarumma definitely deserves star player.
For sure.
I think Donnarumma is the main reason that PSG has made it that far. If there's one man for PSG that's helped them make it this far as they have, it's Donnarumma.
Yeah, he single-handedly knocked them.
I know, there were several bangers that Saka had shooting and stuff.
For sure.
And Donnarumma just barely got onto him, and saved them. And again, if it had been any other goalkeeper in the goal other than Donnarumma, I think the scoreline would have been very different. I think Arsenal could have had it in them to win if they played differently.
Right. Yeah, 100%. They were playing too defensive.
Yeah.
They weren't taking that risk to go forward, and when they did go forward, it wasn't great.
Yeah, they were holding onto the ball a little too much when they were on the attack, letting it go, and honestly, it was low-key an embarrassing performance by Arsenal.
Very embarrassing.
But decent games. Still fun to watch. But then, Barcelona versus Inter Milan.
Woo!
Absolute cinema. Cinema.
I think that's peak soccer, if I've seen it.
It's amazing. And
that's the best Champions League game I think I've seen since the PSG and Barca game in, 2017?
I want to say 17, yeah.
I want to say 2017. When Sergio Alberto got that late goal. But this beautiful performances from both teams. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to say that now. Barca did look like I thought Barca were going through, if I'm going to be completely honest. Inter brought their A game. They made that comeback goal last minute, sent it to extra time, and it didn't turn out good for Barca.
Yeah, it was like the most back and forth game I've seen
Insane.
in a long time.
Insane.
So, like, yeah, it was really good. It was awesome. And then Dumfries, man, what a player! I was unfamiliar with his game, but 2 goals,
Yeah.
assisted the first one right away,
He's insane.
and yeah, the first leg of the tie that was good. But obviously, I feel like in the first 2 legs, Lamine Yamal showed how good he was, and it showed how much everyone else relied on him so much. Lamine Yamal was clearly the best player for Barcelona.
I will say I love Lamine Yamal, I'll be honest. But I feel like his ego gets in the way sometimes. He takes a little too many shots. You know, he gets the ball, he dribbles in, he just takes that shot right from his spot, right outside the box. And sometimes those shots they're not on. And when I see that, it makes me so mad because I think he has an open Pedri or an open Lewandowski open there for him.
I think it did get to his head just like a little bit, and he was getting a little greedy, and especially at the end of the game, he was like, all right, it's all on me, but it's not on you. It's all on your entire team, you know.
Correct.
You have a team of superstars. Why are you trying to do it all by yourself, you know? And I think Lamine Yamal, obviously in La Liga, you don't have as many outstanding goalkeepers.
Correct.
And David Raya was doing a pretty decent job at keeping Lamine Yamal's shots out. And I feel like after 3 or 4 times of failing at the exact same shot, he would have maybe tried a different attempt, maybe tried passing. So even though he did miss and like he was being really greedy with it, I still feel like he was the best player for Barcelona.
And again, he still has plenty of room to develop. He's only 17, so even then, like, kudos to him. Like, he's doing amazing.
He is
especially
so much
in
potential.
Champions League. You're playing like highest level of soccer. It's insane the numbers he's putting up at that age.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just hard because I couldn't watch the first leg. I was in the middle of a soccer game with my high school, and the people on the bench were all watching it, and I could like even just playing because I played left wing, like right next to the bench. Just like sometimes making a run, I could hear him go, "Yamal, what are you doing?" So I rewatched it, and like I could see it, like he was just trying to do the same thing over and over and over again, and he succeeded sometimes, you know. But I feel like a lot of the time he had better options. Like he just wasn't looking at those other options.
But that second leg, man.
Yeah, that was cinema. All of those goals were just
pure cinema. Like there's no other words to describe it. Like it was beautiful. It was just like best. It was like a movie, like a really dramatic movie. Your eyes were glued to the screen. You couldn't stop watching. Even if you were hungry, you couldn't go get a snack because if you went to get a snack, you'd miss a goal. It was remarkable.
And what I love about Inter is that they're one of those teams that doesn't rely on stars and build their team off of stars. A lot of these players are older players.
Right.
Like none of these players are like in their prime. Like maybe Lautaro Martinez, you know, but most of these players are still older. But the thing is that they work together, and the system that they go with works, and it works better than Barcelona.
Yeah,
and I'll be entirely honest, I didn't think Inter would beat Barcelona because just in my eyes, I was like, well, Barcelona has a lot of more stars, you know, and they are able to just do a lot. And when they get possession and are holding on, getting good momentum, they don't let it go.
Right.
But
that possession
when Inter gets a good chance, they capitalize. They're just one of the teams that capitalizes on big chance because their system works, you know. So yeah, great games. It was crazy. I didn't. Once the game started, I didn't want to predict who was going to win because it was so back and forth the entire time.
Yeah, insane. I mean, Inter, solid team. I'll totally give them that. What, Champions League, what was it, 2023? Did they get to City? They got to City? City knocked them out, but I mean...
This is the second time they've been to the Champions League
final
in 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years, like...
You know, so
round of applause.
Bravo to Inter, but I feel like Inter has really showed the world like who they are. Like they're second in Serie A right now, but honestly, I feel like the game between them and PSG, Inter and PSG, could be a lot closer than people expect.
Yeah, for sure.
After seeing that Inter's performance, I could genuinely be happy if either of them won.
I couldn't decide who would win that game.
Yeah,
that game is it's a 50-50 ball up in
it's
the
up
air
to
at
fate,
that
but
point.
I think PSG might.
Both teams have what it takes to bring it to the table, and I think they can both win it. Like, in all seriousness, I think it'll be one of those games where it's like tied, 89th minute, someone's through on goal, it's saved, and some crazy moments.
It'll be
it's gonna be like that World Cup final 2022.
Exactly.
Like, it's gonna be insane.
I don't think it's gonna be. I think it's going to be a lot more intense than last year's with
for sure.
Dortmund versus Real Madrid. I mean, 2-0.
Everyone expected it.
Real Madrid owned that game.
Yeah.
But Inter versus PSG, I feel like it's going to be really close. But me personally, I think PSG are going to take home the win. However, I do think that might be a bad look for Kylian Mbappe.
It could.
It'll be a rough look,
For sure. Since he just left,
So my prediction is PSG.
I think... Dude, I honestly can't decide. I think it'll be 3-2 Inter.
3-2 Inter?
3-2 Inter.
I'm going to go, it'll be 4-3 PSG.
Okay. You heard it.
It'll be either 4-3 or 2-1.
Yeah. It's going to be a good game, that's for sure. I'm really excited to watch it.
Yeah. So that's our Champions League chat, but now we get to move on to the other stuff. So another thing that I have planned, another thing, is we're going to be talking about what we think of the current Ballon d'Or standings. So, number 10, I honestly, genuinely was not expecting it. Kvaratskhelia, number 10.
I'm not surprised. If I'm going to be honest, I'm not surprised. He is an amazing winger.
I know, so underrated.
Quality. When he gets that shot, he just rips it, and it, almost every time it goes in. If not, it's on target.
Yeah. You could tell Kvara is just one of those wingers that means business.
Right.
Every time he gets the ball, you're going to I know, I have faith that he will connect this pass, or he will outpace or out-dribble this defender. Because he's so good at that. He's so good at putting it across on either side. He's super versatile, He's a great winger, but I wasn't expecting it. Coming from Napoli to PSG, he was Napoli's best player. I was like, how's he going to handle with the best team in France, who are doing pretty well? He's either going to let him down or is he either going to shine? And I feel like he hasn't done either. He's been really, really good, but he's just kind of been the man in the shadows.
Yeah. People sleep on him, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely one of my favorite players of all time.
He's so underrated.
He's so fast. He's so technically gifted. But he's just one of those players that puts his head down and gets the work done.
Right.
And his first season at PSG has been a good season so far.
Yeah, I think PSG made the perfect decision to sign this guy.
$70 million for a world-class winger.
70 million, a lot of money. Get your money's worth. Kvaratskhelia is tearing it up right now. If I'm being completely honest,
he's definitely been worth the money.
He was ripping Liverpool's defense up. I was watching the games. I looked at him. I said, I'm scared. Seriously. I said,
he's a world-class
I said to myself, he's going to score. I mean, he didn't, but he had those chances, and I saw his potential, and he's going places with PSG, that's for sure.
And here's the thing. He's not one of those players to get a ton of assists or a ton of goals, but he's one of those players that's just so important to the build-up and getting the ball done, He's just... on every goal, I feel like his fingerprints are on there somewhere,
Right.
So
he's always leaving something somewhere.
Exactly, whether he sends a perfect through ball or shots deflected off or something, So great player. I'm honestly really happy.
He's always involved, 10. And I'm proud he's in that list. I'm actually really happy because he's a really good player.
Now number 9, Harry Kane.
He won a trophy.
He won his first trophy. The drought is over.
The drought is over.
But honestly, Harry Kane has done really well this season. He's a phenomenal striker. He's just one of those players that you can rely on to finish an attack. Give him the ball, he'll hurry and shoot and finish it. But honestly, I feel like he hasn't been. I don't think he's been Bayern's best player this season.
I completely agree.
I think it's Michael Olise.
Right.
Honestly.
Oh yeah. Kane, obviously, scores goals. Like,
goal scoring
good
machine.
striker. Do not get me wrong. Beautiful striker. Puts in the work. Puts in the goals. I don't think he deserved to be in the Ballon d'Or list, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah, he won his first trophy, and yes, he's scoring lots of goals. But we have lots of those strikers right now. Like, the new age of strikers are beginning, where a lot of teams are starting to just rely on
Gyökeres. You have
I know, like Gyökeres and Lewandowski,
you have so many
who
people.
are both finishing base players, And Harry Kane, honestly, I feel like Victor Gyökeres might even be a little better at that
100%.
because Victor Gyökeres is. I think he's a little faster and a lot stronger.
Right, and he's young too. He's still developing as well.
Yeah, this season I would have Victor Gyökeres over Harry Kane. I think the fact that he's playing for Sporting definitely hurts his reputation, But Harry Kane, I feel like you could put a lot of different strikers to get the same outcome with Bayern. Obviously, Bayern's very good this year. And honestly, I feel like Michael Olise is more important to Bayern than Harry Kane is to Bayern.
Correct. Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Because, again, you could put in a different striker like Gyökeres, like Isak, like Lewandowski, and get the same results. But you put in a different right winger right now, unless they're like a top player like Salah.
Yeah, it's not going to work like that.
You're not going to get the same result as Olise, who's willing to help out wherever, and he's up for any challenge, That's why he's such high goals and such high assists, and they're close, because he's willing to do everything. I would honestly take Harry Kane out and put Michael Olise instead.
I would agree with that. Honestly, yeah. Olise, like, what is there to say negative about him? Like, honestly,
I know, so versatile.
And I think he's one of the most underrated players right now, along with Kvaratskhelia. And yeah, people just don't see what Olise has been doing for Bayern. I think that puts him in the shadows as well. Mm-hmm. But I do think Olise should be in this list.
Yeah, we had Olise in our top 10 for the most underrated players.
Yeah.
Earlier this year. He's just so good. I'm happy with that.
Me too.
Number 8, Kylian Mbappe.
I'm trying to decide if I like that or not.
I think I like it. I think Lewandowski and Mbappe are a little closer than people would like to admit.
I like the idea of it. I don't think he deserves to be that high up the list, if I'm going to be honest.
Really?
I don't think so.
Why not?
Madrid, beautiful team. I'm not going to lie. Madrid's a solid team. They haven't been doing the best this season, obviously.
Because they're in a transitional period.
Correct. I don't think they're doing the best, and I think that's one of the reasons why I wouldn't consider Mbappe in this list. I wouldn't necessarily
against Barcelona.
Yeah, but 4-3.
Yeah, but
4-3.
4-3 and Mbappe hat trick.
Okay, don't get me wrong. Mbappe, amazing player. I just think the way the Ballon d'Or works, they're looking at teams that are doing well and the players that are exceeding those teams forward. I don't think Mbappe is one of those players. He scores goals 100%. Yeah, beautiful goal scorer. I don't think he's what's really driving the team right now.
Yes, he is.
You could consider a couple other players.
Because you think about every time Real Madrid get a win and every time they get a loss, who their best player is. And consistently for the past few games, it's been Mbappe. Again, hat trick against Barcelona. He was the star player on the losing team.
That's fair. That's fair.
And Mbappe, he is important. Like, yes, he's not on a driving team, but I think there's a stigma that if Real Madrid isn't first, then they're not driving, Real Madrid is second in La Liga right now, and they were pretty close to winning. 1 point behind winning La Liga. 1 point behind winning La Liga. And Mbappe scored a hat trick against Barcelona, So I feel like Real Madrid are a better team than people are considering right now. Like, yes, they're struggling against some teams for no reason,
Right.
But again, if they're in a transitional period, still figuring stuff out. But every time they get a win and every time that they do something good, Mbappe's there.
Yeah, that's fair. I think what I was trying to say earlier, scratch all that off. I think Ballon d'Or wise, they look at teams who are playing well, and they're looking at the better players on those teams. I'm saying, like, you look at Liverpool, you see Salah, you see, your McAllisters, your Van Dijks, When you look at Barca, you see your Lewandowski, your Lamine Yamal, your whoever, your Szczesny. Like, it all depends on I feel like it all depends on how the team's doing and how that player's performing. I don't think, obviously, because Madrid aren't doing too well. That's why I would not consider him in. I think he's a really good player. He shows up, scores goals, does a lot for the team. I just don't think I would look at him as a player that would be eligible for Ballon d'Or.
He's definitely not eligible in my mind for like top 3 this year. Honestly, I predicted that he might win the Ballon d'Or next year,
right?
Because Real Madrid hopefully will be out of that transitional period, But I bet he'll be top 3 this year. I don't think he deserves to be top 3 this year because he's playing with Real Madrid at this time right now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he joined at a wrong time, but because they're in the transitional period that they are. But I think 8th is an okay spot for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an okay spot. I just don't think I'd consider him. I could throw a couple other players right now.
Really?
I think I could. You could throw Patrick Schick. You could throw Frimpong. You could throw a lot of players, if I'm being honest.
I don't think Frimpong should be in the top 10.
I think you could throw a lot of players over Mbappe, but
it's true, but
just because of how their team is doing.
Because he's just so important for a team that's doing pretty well.
I don't mind where he's at.
Hot take. If Bruno Fernandes was playing for Arsenal right now and was in second place, just a hypothetical, right? If he was playing the exact same way he is right now in Arsenal, in second place,
over Odegaard.
Well, no, take out Thomas Partey.
Okay.
Okay. And then, I feel like he would be in the top 10 for Ballon d'Or because he'd be with a better team. I feel like a big problem
he'd be like
is
6.
just because he's with the team,
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Mbappe's main problem is that he's just playing with a kind of struggling Real Madrid, But I honestly like this spot because we're seeing every game we're seeing more and more of the old Mbappe.
Yeah, that's fair. I see that. Yeah, I don't mind him at number 8. I just don't think he's not one of the players I look in the big picture. He's not one of the players I look at and say he deserves to win the Ballon d'Or. He deserves to be in the top 10. I think he's an exceptional player, but I just wouldn't look to him first. That's all I'm gonna say.
But would you look to him at 8?
At 8th, I could see it.
Okay, so yeah, it's an agree then.
I could see it.
No, so number 7th, Robert Lewandowski.
Makes sense. Totally makes sense. In fact, I could argue he could go higher. Seeing
this list, I think he could only move up max 1 position.
He could go 5. Don't lie to me.
Well, he could go
5.
I think he can move up to 6th from 7th. But we're going to talk about that in a second. Robert Lewandowski, I feel like most of the reason why he's in number 7th is because of his good momentum from the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
The last few games, he hasn't even been starting,
Yeah.
And we haven't seen the same magic of him, When he was at Bayern, it didn't matter if he started on the bench or not. You'd sub him in and he'd score a goal.
Score 5 goals in 9 minutes.
So I feel like Lewandowski, he's definitely getting older. His age is showing through. The beginning of his season, the first half was amazing. The second half, I feel like he's definitely on the downward slope a little bit now. I feel like, honestly, 7 and 8, Kylian Mbappe and Robert Lewandowski is a little closer than people would like to admit, But again, he's playing with a good Barcelona team, so I can see Barcelona. I can understand it, and I'm not terribly mad about it.
I'm not terribly mad at it either.
I'm not terribly mad about it either.
I'm not terribly mad. I think I could argue he could go higher because of that momentum at the beginning of the season. Scoring the goals, starting the attacks. He was doing it all. These recent games, of course, as you said, he hasn't been starting. So I think that's kind of what the people have seen it as. Oh, he's playing worse now. But I wouldn't say that. I would say he just fell off a little bit. He hasn't given the same opportunities
because his results started declining.
Correct. Yeah, just like that. So I think 7 seems like a perfect spot for him. But I think I could argue that you could go a little higher with him.
Yeah, I think he could definitely go up a spot too. I think number 5 should Shouldn't. But we'll talk about it in a sec. So number 6, Pedri. I'm happy with that.
I'm happy with that too. He
I
deserves it.
I feel like
totally
Pedri could be
it.
5th. I feel like Pedri could be 5th.
Yeah, you could also argue him to go
Pedri
higher.
is one of Barcelona's key players, and a lot of people aren't seeing it. I feel like, because I'm a Real Madrid fan, but so I'm in that fan base, but a lot of Real Madrid fans are willing to admit that Pedri is the best center mid this year.
In fact, yeah, I've heard Real Madrid fans say they want Pedri there.
Xabi Alonso wants Pedri.
Yeah, and I can totally see why. Pedri.
He's such a key player.
He is. When I think of a midfielder, I think of Pedri.
Mm-hmm.
He joins the attack. He's always there defensive wise. He's all over the place.
Yeah, he has the vision.
Right.
His touches are clean. He's just one of those. He's just one of those players that you're like.
He's just a solid midfielder player, overall. Yeah.
And honestly, of course, I'd be happy to see him at Real Madrid. I don't think he'll join the rival team. He'll probably pull Luis Figo. I don't think he'll do that. But he's a good player. I think he's the best center midfielder in the world right now. Coming from a Real Madrid fan.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I would totally agree with that.
He's over Bellingham. He's over Valverde.
There's no one else you could argue.
Because Valverde, he's doing okay, but he's doing really good. But he's playing with a struggling Real Madrid side, and he's been forced to play right back a lot.
Yeah, that's true. You could argue, a couple of midfielders from PSG. You could argue maybe like a Raphinha, but I don't think that argument would stand as much.
Because if it was the most versatile player in the world, conversation would be different. I think Valverde would definitely be there, over Pedri. But if it's just talking about their center mid performances this year, I feel like Pedri's a little more consistent, and he's doing the dirty work.
Right.
He's one of those players that gives it all, and he plays a similar role for Barcelona right now that Toni Kroos did a little bit. Obviously, I think Toni Kroos is a little better than Pedri.
Right.
I say a little.
I think
his
just because of experience,
But yeah, I feel like they just play similar roles.
Correct.
So I'm happy with 6. I feel like he can move up to 5th.
I feel like he could also move up to 5th.
So now we're going to talk about 5th.
Who isn't 5th?
We've talked about 5th a little bit, but now we're actually talking about Lautaro Martinez. I don't think he should be in this top 10.
Really?
I don't think he should be in the top 10. Again, key player for Inter, but I feel like the main reason why he's here is because he's scoring goals every almost every other game, and he's with the team that's second in Serie A and could be first in the Champions League. But that could be. Honestly, I think
coulda, woulda, shoulda, man.
I just don't think he's that good. He's a great striker. His finishing is amazing, but honestly, I don't think he's more important to his team than Pedri is right now.
Yeah, originally
or Mbappe.
Originally, I thought that he as soon as I heard his name pop up, I said, "Yeah, he belongs there." Now that I look at it, he's an amazing striker. Do not get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He's putting in goals. He's doing the work for Inter. He's leading them to the Champions League final. But you could say that for so many other players, and they're putting up way better stats than him.
I know. And
so that's why I think...
As talking about a great striker, 12 goals and 3 assists isn't that great. Especially for the way
it's solid.
Yeah,
it's solid, but it's not...
For the way that Inter play,
yeah,
you would expect him to do a lot better.
It's not Ballon d'Or worthy. That's the question we're asking. Is 12 goals and 3 assists Ballon d'Or worthy? I don't think so.
It is not.
I don't think so. So that's why I'm saying, at first, you look at him and you say, right, he's on Inter. He's doing well, right? Mm-hmm. But when you look at him as a player, you see those 12 goals and 3 assists, it gets a little dodgy.
Yeah. Honestly, another hot take, Dumfries has been more important for Inter and has done more. I feel like Dumfries is a more Ballon d'Or worthy player than Lautaro Martinez this season.
Hands down, 100%. I totally agree with that. In fact, I was saying before this, Liverpool should sign Dumfries. He's an incredible player, honestly. Solid right back. He's doing a lot for Inter right now that I think could earn him a standout signing to a big club. I mean, honestly, Inter, big club, don't get me wrong. But a bigger club, get him that exposure, and people will finally see how good of a player he is as an individual and a right back. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't think he belongs in this list.
So I think all these players could honestly move up one.
They could and knock Martinez out.
Here's the changes I would make thus far. I would kick Martinez out.
Right.
Substitute Harry Kane for Elise, and then put in Declan Rice.
I can see that. Yeah.
Arsenal's best player.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah. I can see that. Honestly,
one of the only players that showed up against PSG. One of the only players that showed up against
Madrid. Sorry.
A lot of people say that. Like, it's so annoying because it's so annoying when your two favorite teams face each other in the Champions League because
that's why you just gotta stick to one team.
Because I have just like more Real Madrid swag. So like soccer people at school are like, "Oh, did you get Declan Rice free kick?" Like, it was amazing. That was an epic free kick.
Freaking banger, bro.
You know, but like,
both of them actually.
Exactly. His first 2 free kicks ever scored. But
insane.
Yeah, now we move on to 4th, and I feel like that from here on out it's pretty self-explanatory. Raphinha.
Yeah,
I feel like he could be 3rd over.
Send him to 2. That's my hot take. Send him to 2.
That's a good point.
Send him to 2.
So let's just say the top 4.
Pull up his stats real quick. Just pull him up.
Raphinha 4, and then Mohamed Salah number 3, and then
I would argue Salah. It's so frustrating. If we would have stayed in Champions League, he's winning the Ballon d'Or. I promise you. If we're staying in Champions League, he is winning the Ballon d'Or.
Mm-hmm.
It's so frustrating and
it's so
disappointing.
I'm happy about how ever since Barcelona got knocked out, he's moving back up because he was like 7th when Barcelona was still in.
Right.
They got knocked out and he's back up to 3rd. However, I would want him at 4th.
Yeah, I can see it.
He's
only 5'9". What the frick? Why did I not know that? He's short.
Messi's only 5'6".
That's true. 5'7".
So he's like 6'7". Actually, sorry.
Okay, 18 goals
and 9 assists. And this is just 18 goals, 9 assists in 30 games.
So good, bro.
For a winger, that is really good. That is really good.
It's so good.
You know, obviously, ever since Ronaldo and Messi were a big thing, we were used to, like, if they weren't scoring 40, 50 goals a season, then they're not cutting it.
They suck.
But
they suck.
You know, we're entering a new stage. All the best players right now are all younger, you know, and 18 goals and 9 assists for a left wing in 30 games. I love that. Honestly, he should be 2nd over Lamine Yamal.
Yeah, it's incredible the stats he's putting up. I think Barca made the perfect decision signing him from Leeds. I'm pretty sure it was Leeds United. He's playing 10. He was playing the 10 there. So the winger was kind of a new position for him, and I don't think.
And he's done great.
I think. Did he get signed this season? No, it was 2 seasons ago, right?
I feel like, yeah.
I feel like start of the season he joined, he wasn't getting that much playing time.
July 2022 is when he signed.
Right. I feel like he wasn't getting much playing time there. Once he started getting into the rotation, he took off. It's like stocks.
Just look at this season's stats.
Right.
On goals, consistency rate is 99%.
That is
shot attempts 97%.
That is
chances
numbers.
created 96%. Those are results. When you want a player worthy of the Ballon d'Or, you want results, and Raphinha is one of those players that gives you those results.
Insane.
I'm gonna be entirely honest though. The games against Inter, I feel like Raphinha had a pretty non-existent game.
I could agree with that.
He was
there, but he wasn't doing what I thought he would be doing.
His head wasn't in the game, and he wasn't providing the same results that we always wish for from Raphinha. So honestly, I wish he was 2. I do think that the reason why he is in 4th was because when Barcelona needed Raphinha the most against Inter, he was pretty non-existent.
Right. He was. It looks like he was there. I mean, he got a goal. I'll give him that. But compared to other games I've seen him play, especially in the Liga and other Champions League games, he looked like he was like sloughing off a little bit. Like, it didn't look like Raphinha. It looked like half of Raphinha. You know, he didn't look like he was all the way there and putting all the effort. But overall, I think he's an amazing player.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be completely honest. He's a dream winger, if I'm being completely real.
Honestly, I think Mohamed Salah should stay in 3rd place. Take back what I said about him moving down to 4th. Mohamed Salah 3rd, Lamine Yamal 2nd.
Guys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And Ousmane Dembele
I'm sorry.
first. I think Lamine Yamal should be fourth.
I agree. I completely agree. He's not like obviously he's 17, insane, but I don't think he's putting up the numbers enough as a 17-year-old
if you
to be included.
If you compare Raphinha and Lamine Yamal's number, like obviously the fact
He's
that
still
Lamine Yamal's
developing.
younger
He's
helps
still
him out a little
growing.
bit, but to be second in the Ballon d'Or,
that's a hot take if I've seen one.
Yeah, not providing the same amount of results as Raphinha has, because again, Ballon d'Or is one of those things that you want players that make stuff happen. They want results, and against Inter, I feel like Lamine Yamal, when I feel like people saw him get greedy a little bit, and we saw him that he didn't care for the team as much when it mattered. Yep. I feel like that should have hurt him at least a little bit, and he should be fourth instead of Raphinha.
Yeah,
fourth.
I would scoot him down to fourth. Raphinha goes to second. It's so disappointing that I'm putting Salah at third, but I think just because of Champions League knockout in the round of 16, it just wipes Salah down. But do not get me wrong, Salah should be Premier League Player of the Year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Stats all over the place, assists, goals. He's setting records right now, and I think he deserves it.
He's like 37, something like that.
37? No, he's like 34, Salah? 33. No, Van Dijk's. Yeah, he's 32. 32 or 33.
Yeah, 32.
32.
He's younger than I thought.
And then Van Dijk's 34.
He's obviously not in his prime. He's not.
But that's saying something. That's saying something. If he's not even in his prime and he's putting up these numbers.
Not prime Mohamed Salah. Well, I think Liverpool is in his prime right now, and that's what's helping him out a lot. Liverpool right now, plus the Salah. The 32-year-old Salah is competing with numbers of prime Cristiano Ronaldo and Thierry Henry.
Right. I'm trying to remember. Trying to remember the records he's set this season. He has. If you look at his goal and assist ratio to how many games he started, he's got more goals and assists in games he started, and that's incredible. A goal a game, that's stats. If I've seen any.
I did some stats on him early in the season.
It's like, how are you doing this when you're not even in your prime and you're setting Premier League records? I find that remarkable, and I'm, as a Liverpool fan, I am so happy he's doing this because he gets the exposure he deserves. Because I feel like when he first came in, everyone's like, oh, another winger, right? Another winger that's probably not going to be the best. Because when he came in, Liverpool weren't doing as good, He comes in, 2018 season, scores that banger against Chelsea. From
Puskas Award. I don't think he should have deserved the Puskas Award. He should have got second. Not the bicycle kick, man.
That's fair. But it was still a banger goal. And the Ronaldo banger. But I still think
I feel like Raphinha and Mohamed Salah, you could honestly switch them around between 2 and 3.
You could. I just think Salah is that key player for Liverpool that's consistently producing. When he doesn't start, the team doesn't play as well. Exactly. And I've seen that through multiple games this season. Pretty sure he didn't start against a couple teams that were lower in the table, obviously, because you got to save your starters.
They were trying to give younger people some chances and stuff.
But when he didn't start those games, we played less. We played less like Liverpool. Our style wasn't there. Our wingers.
Our passes weren't connected to the people that they usually are.
And Salah does that for Liverpool, and that's why I think he does deserve to be in the conversation.
For the Ballon d'Or,
spit his name up. Obviously, Ousmane Dembele. Obviously, Raphinha. You could throw a bunch of names out there, but you could argue too.
If Ousmane Dembele, Mohamed Salah, Raphinha, if any of those three win the Ballon d'Or, I will be happy.
Right.
But if anybody else wins it, it's sheer robbery.
Right,
I'm going to be entirely honest.
It's like the Lewandowski and Messi thing. Lewandowski should have won it that year.
And Modric over Ronaldo. 100%. Robbery. So yeah, and then obviously Ousmane Dembele number 1. What do we even need to say, bro? Carrying his team to win the Champions League thus far, he doesn't even need to start. PSG's a great team right now, and like you said, like they look at players on good teams and see like who's the most important. And I feel like that's definitely Dembele.
For sure.
Obviously first in the league, and on track. I think he'll win the Champions League. And of all the players up here, all these players were people that won the league, but were like probably knocked out of the Champions League. The people that are in this list and still in the run for the Champions League are Kvara, Lautaro Martinez, and Dembele. And I think of those 3, Dembele is significantly better than the other 3. If Dembele wins the Champions League, it should not go to anybody else.
He's winning the Ballon d'Or. 100%. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I feel like, you could throw in a bunch of other names. Your Raphinha and Salah, and if they stayed in, wow, what a race that would be. I couldn't honestly decide. Obviously, coming from a Liverpool fan, I totally want Salah to win.
Yeah.
But you see the numbers that the other 2 are putting up, and you go, how are they doing this? You're going, they just did that, and it's insane. The numbers are putting up, and I think you could throw a bunch of names in there.
So I'm happy with Dembele first. As of right now, I hope he wins the Ballon d'Or. That'd be amazing.
For sure.
But if it's not Dembele, I'd hope it'd be Salah. If it's not Salah, I hope it'd be Raphinha. And if it's none of those 3, the sport is cooked.
Yeah.
So
I'm done supporting.
I'm not. After last year's Ballon d'Or, I feel like the Ballon d'Or lost a lot of credibility.
For sure.
2 years in a row, I feel like robbery. Messi robbed Haaland.
Interesting.
Rodri robbed Vinicius. And of this year, Lamine Yamal robs Dembele. I'm never even paying attention to the Ballon d'Or. Globe Soccer Awards becomes the new number 1.
If Lamine Yamal wins the Ballon d'Or, I'll just kill myself on the spot. Like, if I'm being so real. Yamal, guys, I love Yamal. Don't get me wrong. He's an amazing player. He is not Ballon d'Or worthy.
Exactly.
He does not deserve to be in this list. I get it. He's 17. He's doing pretty good numbers for 17.
Copa Trophy, 100% Ballon d'Or? No way.
No shot. There's no shot. Like, it's incredible how people are putting him number 2 in this list.
Barcelona's probably the best player, probably the most consistent.
It's
insane. But he's 17 and it doesn't give him the same results. He's consistently a 7 out of 10. So
EA is giving him too much credit.
I agree.
Too much credit for what this list is saying.
Ever since Messi left the big stage, I feel like FIFA has been looking for another golden boy, and I feel like we can see that their next pick is
Lamine Yamal. Yeah, I can see the favor already, man.
And the new Ronaldo on the stage, Vinicius Jr.
He's not like the same style, but
kind of. Well, Vinicius is relies
fast.
more dribbling than Ronaldo.
He's more dribbling, more.
Both left wingers for Real Madrid. Both kind of the same attitude. I think Ronaldo's a little more disciplined, but
that's fair.
All right, well, that wraps up our episode for today. Thank you so much for watching. Comment, please, bro. Please comment.
Actually, I'm gonna crash out at you guys if you don't comment. I swear.
Hot takes, episode 3. Episode 4. We want to do hot takes next week?
I'm down.
Hot takes, episode 4. Next week. If you comment, 100% chance you get a
shout out.
We will talk about your hot take. We'll be posting about it too.
Please, bro.
Please.
I cannot.
Please join the Hot Takes Club.
I'm on my knees, bro.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for watching. Please like, subscribe to help us out a ton, and we will see you next week.
Peace.